Happy New Year and welcome to episode 131 of the Plastic Posse. The Posse is brought to you by our fantastic sponsors, Microworld Games, Tankcraft, Team USA, Bases by Bill, and AK Interactive. And also to all of our Patreon supporters, a big thank you for making all this possible. We appreciate your support. This is one of those rare episodes where we have a full crew today. Spoiler alert, we did not actually fire Jensen. That was a joke. Someone asked, I can't remember who it was. I think they thought we were being serious. As much as I would have liked to have fired Jensen, we decided to keep him on for at least another 2 weeks. So he is with us today. He's done playing with Legos for now, so hopefully we can get him building another model here soon. So speaking of which, let's catch up with everyone and see how everyone's been doing, what's going on in their respective bench. And yeah, so Grant, I'm going to start with you because I know you are in a really good mood today because I think you had a good night last night.
I had a great night last night. Go Seahawks, by the way. 95-yard kickoff return, first play of the game. Not saying too much, but like people said here earlier, offense could have sat down after that first kickoff return of the game. They still would have won the game. So no offense needed. But for model stuff, yeah, I have been working on a couple things, ons and offs. Working on a new kit bash. Hopefully, might be done by SMC. And I'm also working on some stuff for a show in April. And just some odds and ends, but not too much. Been taking the new year a little slow, a little quiet.
That's good, man. Yeah, I'm happy for your Seahawks, even though as a Washington fan, I have a special disdain for the Seahawks because for most of my adult life, that's usually been the roadblock to them in the playoffs. The few times they actually make it to the playoffs, I feel like it's normally ended at Seattle. So that being said, that was pretty impressive. But yeah, that was funny. Offense could have sat on the sidelines the whole
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
and they still would have won.
It still would have
13
won.
seconds into the game, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was a heck of a game. There was some really good games. I'm sure John will talk about the Broncos and their miraculous cardiac kids that they are. So it was a good weekend. It's been a good weekend so far for football. So you guys are probably all hearing this
Yeah,
late. So
yeah. And for us, it's only halfway done because we got two
yeah,
more games today. So I'm looking forward to that. So speaking of JB, I'll go over to you, JB. I know you've had a busy week, full of lots of drama at work, but better things. We can talk about models now. So how are you doing? What's going on your bench?
I'm doing well. It's been, yeah, a busy week, all things considered. But I have been lucky enough to get 2 solid days working on the Sturmwagen Sav 43 thing that I'm taking to Winter Blitz, and that's where all my focus has been. So I posted a picture of it modulated on the group. By the time this episode drops, ideally it's completely finished, but it's been a fun little project. It's definitely, in terms of quality and like build and precision, it's on the lower spectrum of mine, but I'm building this for Winter Blitz. I wanted to do a unique subject based on 38T. It's the SS model 3D printed kit that's really, it's like a bar of soap. So without the Display rotary tool, I think I'd be still sanding it. Shout out to that again. Definitely get one. But all things considered, it's turning out to be a nice subject. Yesterday I spent the whole day, and this goes back. You've talked about it before. When you paint, I think traditionally I would have been like, all right, I need to wait a night to put on a flat coat, and then I need to wait a day to wash, and then I need a day to do this. And yesterday I was like, screw it, we're doing it all in one day. So I went from like a camouflaged vehicle, and then I got dry transfers on it, masked some national flags, and then flat coated it or matte coated it with VMS, and then went right into oil and enamel work, like literally within 20 minutes of spraying. So running and gunning all day, let that dry when I went and watched the Broncos game, which wasn't exciting at all. Steve Baker's like, what are you talking about? I bet right now. So it was exciting for those listeners that didn't watch the game. But yeah, went back, and then last night worked on it with oils, and then chipped it with pencils. And to be honest, it got a lot further than I expected, and it's nearly done. So now I'm going to do the pine branches today, touch up a few little things, but otherwise it's looking really good for Winter Blitz, and I'll get the base done today. I think I'm going to print out some 3D vegetation and some animals for it. But otherwise, yeah, it's not my best build, but it's a build that's unique, and I'm confident in saying that I've never seen a Sav 43 built, and I'm going to challenge anybody to build one, because I think I'll have the only one on the table for a long time, because the kit is such a terrible kit. But hey, here we are. That's where I'm at right now.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait for that to get snubbed for Best Small Army at AMPS this year. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really fun. So yeah, I know you got that in your future.
Well, I wouldn't be alone there, so I get to join that club.
Yeah, it's an exclusive club.
Mary
But yeah,
dismiss.
Scott, I'm gonna go over to you and see how your bench is doing. I kind of know because we were kind of chatting about it before we started recording, and it's kind of going to be one of our discussion points that we're gonna jump into here in a little bit. But how have you been doing?
I've been doing really good, sort of in the part of the year where, we got the 48 and 48 coming up, and my show got moved up a month to Memorial Day. So really that's where I've been putting the bulk of my hobby time is getting the show running. We've got a new venue and we'll have a lot more on that here pretty quick, but still working, kind of pecking away at that Dauntless. It's all prime now, ready to go. We'll talk about that kind of more as we come up. But yeah, Steve Baker, I think he got his money's worth at the Broncos game yesterday. Got 5 quarters for the cost of 4, and man, be a great game as a Broncos fan to actually say I was there. One of those kind of games.
Yeah, that was good, man. For someone that had no vested interest in either team, I was just happy that there was something worth watching. Yeah, it lived up to the hype for sure. I had to watch it on my phone for most of the time because I was at a volleyball tournament, but yeah, it was good. Jensen,
Hello.
I don't even know where to start with you, man.
No one ever does. Yeah.
Tell me about
maverick.
all the models you haven't been building.
Oh well. How long have you got? Yeah, I've not done. It's January. I never do anything in January, and I always use like post
Or
Christmas
February,
or
or
March or
March,
April.
April.
I always do it the month before a show.
So
So
45 days
before.
before SMC.
Yeah. Well,
Until
no.
then, you're darting and farting.
I am indeed darting, but I'm either playing darts or building Lego, or D&D, or playing games, anything that I shouldn't be doing rather than should be doing. No, I've got a kit on the bench ready to start with our Secret Santa. Now, I've got all the aftermarket for it as well. Like I've got a build in mind, ready to go. I just need to actually start it. I was talking to Jackson about this the other night. Actually, he was like, "What's stopping you from starting it?" I was just like, "I can't be asked. I don't want to. I know for a fact once I've started it, I'll love it and I'll get on the roll. It's just that initial starting it stage, and I'm finding every excuse to not start it. Like, oh, but like, what if I buy an arm for my camcorder so I can start recording content, modeling content that is. So I start looking at all the stuff to start making that rather than actually getting some modeling done. Then I'm just like, oh, but I need acoustic padding for my wall. Let me get some of that instead. And I'm finding everything to avoid doing what I should be doing. But I promise there are projects imminently starting because my camera is on its arm, all the lighting's set up. There is going to be stuff made, content wise, for Patreon to start with, because they deserve it. But yeah, there is stuff in the works. I just need to actually do it. I promise. Maybe.
The silence
The
indicates
silence was deafening.
that we don't believe you.
Yeah, it's
And
like
that's
it's the
okay.
productivity in the room.
It's
with us right
okay.
now.
It
I
wouldn't be the
bel-
first time the British Empire lied.
I'm pretty
So-
sure TJ's going purple over there with things he's not saying.
No. No. I mean, yeah, I don't believe him at all. Like, I
don't believe myself.
Hell will freeze over before that happens, but
Well, I had I wanted to ask our Patreon community some questions first, but I'll just let that be a post on Patreon. I was like, what content do you want to see? But I have a feeling it's going to be full
literally
in-depth.
anything, you dipshit. Literally anything. Just build
Well,
something.
Well, not I won't say anything because I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube, and that is just like a 35-minute unboxing review.
Don't do that.
People don't want to see that. I'm sorry. Like, no. To me, I used to do inbox reviews. And that's not good content. I'm sorry. Unless it's a brand new kit and it's like an exclusive look at something that no one else has posted yet, fine. But like, hey guys, let me review this kit from 1973. No one gives a shit. I'm sorry. But yeah. It's gonna have to be build stuff and stuff that people genuinely want to see, not just clutter for the channel. Because I know I'm not throwing shade, but there are a lot of channels that throw up filler content for the sake of posting content.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. But yeah, that's
Well,
me.
Hopefully you build something. soon.
I
'Cause,
have to because I have nothing to take to amps otherwise, and I'm not going to
Yeah.
amps without a model.
All joking aside, you know how much I like your work, so I get
I
annoyed
know,
when I don't get to see it.
I know, I know. Because
It's
even I'll admit, sometimes my work is actually all right, and weirdly I do enjoy this hobby. You won't believe it.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard to believe.
I know, but yeah, it's just the starting. I'm expert level procrastinator.
Yeah.
You rise up once a year and go to the bench, build something, and then disappear.
Yeah,
But during those moments you've risen, we celebrate.
I I just want to throw this out there just because I rise up once a year, build something, win gold master with it, then hibernate again.
Shut the f up.
Just had to,
Just had to
Damn.
throw that out there, huh?
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
yes, and I'll do it again.
I just love that you've made like a out of your little gold medal and wear it around.
I do.
Oh Lord.
Scott's got a lot of editing.
Yeah. Well, moving on, since I think I'm the last one. I've been rather busy, so some people might have seen it, but I finished the Sphinx. I'm holding it up like everyone listening to this can hear it. This is huge. I'm not done because Jackson talked me into it, and after talking to Brian, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. I'm gonna add a fair amount of texture to this thing. Not all of it, obviously, because there's a lot of like raised panels and like all that kind of stuff, but yeah, I was like, whatever. They were right. Jackson was right. It will probably look cooler. And even Brian was like, yeah, man, do you even Mac? I'm like, yeah, fair enough. I freaking love this thing. I kind of wish I had a second one. I'm not going to buy a second one because it is very expensive. Um, but I'm very pleased so far with how it came out. The only problem I haven't fixed is what to do with the commander that's in the hatch because he like barely fits, which is fine, but there's no way to like make the hatch work, I guess. I've seen someone they bent like a U out of some brass rods because there is two location points. If I do that, it won't fit with the figure. So I might just leave it off. I don't know because he looks cool. He looks cool poking out of the hatch because I have a full crew for this actually. So crew of three apparently. I bought three figures, two Panzert and an Alpine guy. So only the commander is going to be poking out of the hatch. The other guys are going to be standing and sitting on the outside. But yeah, oh man, it's been fun. I was telling my wife before, like right when it showed up, like I was feeling kind of blah about like projects, even though I got a bunch kind of like ready for paint. But this thing is like it really helped me get modeling and continue to model. And I also feel super proud of myself because I designed the rocket tubes with Zach's help by myself. Well, not by myself, but I did the design. He kind of walked me through it. We got on Discord and he was sharing the screen and we had our cameras on, so he was kind of walking me through it. It was really cool. And this is the first time I've done like nuts and washers before, and that's like whatever. I only did that because I needed like a specific size or a specific style that I didn't have a file of, and it was super easy. That was a plug. That's what it was. It was a plug for the top of the volute springs on a Sherman. It was super simple. It was a circle with a hex in it, like the easiest thing ever. This is the first time I've designed like a what I would call a precision part. So I had to put mounting holes and make everything like exactly the way I wanted it, and it's pretty cool like to have that like yeah I made that and then printed it and put it on there. I have caps for the rocket tubes too. They're Matilda 2 road wheels that Zach designed for me before I did these tubes because I was going to do them out of plastic like plastic tubes, and I couldn't get anything I was really happy with. That's why I went with this. But yeah, it's been really fun. I can't wait to actually start painting it. I got a bunch of uh, RLM colors that I probably had some of them already. I just bought a whole bunch, aka Real Colors, the new version. So I got a cool like a Luft 46 scheme inspired paint job that I want to do on it, and yeah, so I'm hoping I'll spend the rest of the day texturing this and getting high as a kite doing it because it's going to be like a whole tube of friggin' Tamiya putty, and then after that I'll probably get some primer on it and double check to make sure everything is the way I want it, and wait until my paint shows up. It's supposed to be on Tuesday. Yeah, I'll probably paint the two figures before then, and yeah, go from there. And on a related note, I also bought a King Croat from Rainbow Egg, so I dropped another $300 on some uh some Japanese resin. So yeah.
It's good to see that you recognize the hierarchy in Mac. Brian gets on there and says, "You should do that." And then TJ's like, "Yeah, I better do that."
Yeah, I mean, Brian didn't texture his, so in the original one, which I have photos of, it's in one of the books that Grant gave me. I can't remember which one. I was just looking at it last night. The original does not seem to be textured. The photos aren't good because they're from the 80s. And I've seen a better photo of the original, and it doesn't look textured, like heavily textured. But it will look cool. I mean, I texture everything else, so it's kind of hard to argue, but it does look kind of neat, kind of smooth, just because it's so big.
And we'll talk about this more in the episode, but I think the fact that the approach that you're taking with the rocket tubes and the crew and the textures, just, I mean, it's going to make this model pretty unique, and a lot more unique than it already is, which is, pretty unique right out of the gate. Yeah, very cool.
Thank you. Yeah, looking forward to it. Like I said, I freaking love that thing. God, I love it so much. I really do wish I had two. I'm tempted, trust me, because he's got a few. Rainbow Egg has a few in stock. One email, and I'd have another one. That's all I would have to do. But yeah, I can't justify having two of those things. Having one is cool. Because like JB said the last episode, you don't see them a whole lot. So the fact that I have one and it's already built and it will be painted is already pretty unique.
Friends, you know Bases by Bill as the place to find one-man army paint masks, and now there are even more to choose from. The newest releases include the Kotare Messerschmitt BF 109K4 set, along with 14 other fresh additions, all available now and all with free shipping. The entire range covers over 80 sets for aircraft and armor. When your project's complete, show it off with a display base. Choose from Japanese and U.S. carrier decks, spanning naval aviation from the 1930s through today, or airfield-style bases, perfect for any aircraft. And for something truly special, Bases by Bill creates custom hardwood bases with engraved or full-color placards, unit emblems, and national insignia, the perfect finishing touch for your next showpiece. Visit basesbybill.com because there's always something new at Bases by Bill.
All right. Well, moving on, and speaking of models, let's go ahead and talk about some work that we saw in the Plastic Posse group that really caught our eye this last 2 weeks. So I'm going to start with JB. He picked a good one. So JB, why don't you tell us about what you chose?
Yeah, I'll call out Nukeman Mike's Vignetti, as we like to call it here on the Posse podcast. No, shout out to Mike. I think as we all have realized, 2025 was a really difficult year. Didn't get much progress done on a lot of things, but I know Mike was working on this project towards the end of the year. Nice little vignette with a tanker dude walking through the forest with a bunch of leaves and just in nature, I guess you could say. So shout out to Mike. I know it's difficult to find time to build, but dude, you got to build more. AMPS is just about 100 days away, so I want to see another project from you. So this was kind of a twofold shout out. One, to acknowledge the cool little vignette he built, and then also to give him a kick in the ass to finish either a soft skin or some sort of vehicle for AMPS coming up. So Nukeman, if you finish a vehicle for AMPS, I don't know what you'll win, but I will give you something. We'll sort that out later. But no, shout out to Mike. Really nice little vignette. And yeah.
Yeah, it was a good choice. It's always good to see old Nuke Man making some models and doing some work. I'll go next. I chose Bruce's Scale Models. I can't remember who runs that page. Obviously, his name is Bruce, but I know who that is. Anyways, he posts in the group pretty often, but he did an Accurate Miniatures SPD3 Dauntless, and like that light gray scheme looks really cool. Yeah, the Dauntless is a cool airplane. And he did with the dive brakes open, so you got the perforated dive brakes with the red. It looks really good with like the light gray all over scheme. And yeah, I don't think that's a very easy kit to build either. So he did a really good job. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a really detailed model, but not necessarily an easy model. But one of those, I know when Accurate Miniatures released that kit, it kind of redefined 48 scale aircraft modeling to large degree. And like you said, TJ, that light gray scheme is not one you see very often. Most people go tritone or, blue gray over gray, but it was really nice to see one well done in that early scheme.
Well, Scott, why don't you go ahead and go on with what you chose? And this is a good one too. I think you snatched this one up before anyone else could.
Yeah, I really, really like the approach. We haven't talked about our buddy Josh Scott Cobra Pla in quite a while. He has been busy and he has completed Bandai's 148 scale N1 Starfighter. And I really like what he did with it. A lot of people have kind of either gone with the bare plastic on the builds I've seen, or they, kind of tend to go to the shinier, more chrome plated end of the spectrum. And Josh has gone a little bit the other way, really bringing a lot of shadow and using it looks like some inks and some really fine airbrushing to kind of darken it up and make it a little bit on the more I don't give it more depth, I guess. And I really like what he's done with it. And then he had some trouble with the opacity of the decals. There's some yellow decals that were on it. And so he actually, to fix that, went back and hand painted the decals. And what he did, probably not intentionally, but it looks terrific, is he kind of blended the decals into the surface of the model by overpainting the color with a paintbrush. And so I think it turned out really, really good. I also like his sheen. He used a lot of semi-gloss and flat elements in it, but yet his canopy is just absolutely shiny, glowing, really, really nice. So anyway, Cobra Pla, Josh, great job. Really, really good job on this. It's sharp. It looks very distinctive, and I think it's super cool, man.
Yeah, it's really well done. I need to buy that kit. I think Josh did a fantastic job. I plan on going to Seattle at least for a day, so I hope to see it in person. But I'll echo Scott. If you didn't choose it, I would have. I think it came out awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's a cool model, and it's good to see Bandai actually putting out a new Star Wars kit. I think it's like the first one they've done in a number of years.
Absolutely.
So, Grant, I'm going to go over to you with and ask you what you chose. I also think you picked a pretty good one.
This time I took John Gray's 135th scale to my FAMO, the recovery vehicle. Just a wonderful paint job on it. The tritones on it are really interesting. It's doing starting some weathering processing on it. I'm trying to get done for the Seattle show up there, but he's done just a really, really good show. It's a big vehicle. Has a lot to paint on that, and he's doing a really good job. I also like the cover on the back, the tarp area. So they've done a really good job.
Yeah, I agree. It was very well done. And last and certainly least, let's go over to Jensen with what he chose. Of course, he chose an easy one, trying to get brownie points. But go ahead and tell
pick
us.
it before anyone else picked it. I chose Sam Dwyer's 109. He's building the new Earthix 124th scale, and it looks really nice. He's the modeling he's done on it. I like the paint scheme he's chosen for it because it's that the alternative RLM 76. It's the more yellowy variant of that color. You can tell it's very late war because it's got mismatched wings. The rudder's different color, different camouflage on it. These 109s, like towards that stage of the war, they were just like assembled from different factory parts. It's like just get them together, get them in the sky, and he's doing a great job on it. He even says he's trying to still get used to how much space it takes up, which is 109. If you know 109, is pretty small aircraft, like in real life. So yeah, when Earthix start releasing more 124th scale stuff, and he's going to buy them, I imagine it's going to take up even more room because I know they're releasing another. Wildcat, which is humongous. But yeah, he's doing a great job. The modeling is really subtle, but like the color variation in it, he's got such an interesting finish on it, and the engine is fully detailed, nicely weathered and painted. It's just really nice. It's coming together lovely, and of course it's a 109, so of course I'm going to choose it.
He's been kind of really moving through that kit pretty quickly too. I mean, it's like you said, it's a lot of plastic, and he's done a really good job of just getting after it. So and yeah, like you said, Sam does beautiful work.
Oh yeah.
He's got a beautiful reference too, the one at the museum there in Australia that he's got up and close and personal with, and got a lot of photos, and you can tell by the way he's painted that thing. It just looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those everyone picked something good. That was always good to see, what goes on in the in our group. So yeah, listeners, please, if you don't post in our group and you're on Facebook, please do. Share your work with us. We love it. We got a pretty vibrant community of almost 8,500 people in that Facebook group. So yeah, let's keep it up. And moving on, we're going to go to our first discussion topic that Scott came up with. So I'm going to kick it over to Scott so he can kind of walk us through it. And I think this is a pretty good one. It's probably most people can identify with it. I know Jensen can, I can too, and kind of like I mentioned earlier. But yeah, Scott, what do you got?
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, well, I actually kind of came up with this. JB and I were talking earlier this week, about normal things. How's it going at the bench, and what's going on. And I noticed it's been kind of interesting for me lately. I've actually been going to the bench. And don't have a general lack of mojo. I actually have been spending a bit of time there. But what I've been struggling with is a little bit is passion. In the last couple of years, we've gone to a lot of incredible shows and seen a lot of amazing work. And, I've sort of been drifting away from that. I got a whole basement full of really nice model kits, but sort of that old modeling thing you would do where you would say, hey, I have a model of, the Panther G late or whatever. I'm just going to build that because it's cool. Right. And, I've kind of been drifting more to, okay, let's pick something that we get passionate about. We find a photo or I have an idea, or whatever. But that's the part I've been really struggling with, is just finding something I'm passionate about and finding something that I want to put together and really, kind of dive into it. And really been struggling for motivation to do that. And so just kind of wondering, what do you guys do when that happens? If you've experienced that, and maybe what are some ways that you can kind of get some focus and some passion on one project when you've been drifting a little bit.
Go on, Jensen, you start.
That's hard. That's a tough one because when yeah, so yeah, I'm kind of similar. Like I need to be really into a project or passionate about it to kind of do it. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, sometimes you're just going to force yourself. And I'm one of those people that I really have to like force myself, usually at the start of a project, to just crack the box open, get some parts going. And then, I don't like saying fake it till you make it, but force yourself into it until it becomes enjoyable. There's a soundbite for you. But like, sometimes that just doesn't work. Like, I can start a project, get like halfway through the instruction book, the build's 50% done, and I'm just like, I just don't love it. Sometimes you can make the you can force the enjoyment, and it's just like, you know what, it's growing on me. But there's been many projects I've got halfway through, I'm just like, this is not it. And if I carry on, I'm either gonna grow more resentful of the model, or the subject, or just not want to do it at all. So now I know, like, we joke a lot about me just not modeling at all, but it's because I'm just waiting for something to spark. And I know, like, sometimes if you wait, you can wait forever. But every night I'll go to bed, I'll see that huge stack of kits in the corner of my room, and I'll look at them. And I've got ideas for all of them. I just need to implement said ideas and do them, which for me that's the hard part. Because usually, as soon as I'm doing it, I'm enjoying it. It's hard, but these days I can't just like grab a kit and just do it. There has to be that visualization in my head of where I want it to go. I need like a path to be on. I can't just find it along the way. So that's why it takes me a long time to start a project, because I spend a lot of time planning it out before I even crack a box open. Like, I've got a KV, I'm thinking of the type of finish I want to put on it, like what year I want to build it in, what's like setting, like is it going to be in Stalingrad? Is it going to be like start to move westwards from the Eastern Front? All that stuff I'm starting to think of, like, oh, but like, how vertical do I want the scenery to be? Do I want like hills? Do I want it to have water in the sea? Like, I start to like massively overthink it, and sometimes I don't think that's a bad, because then I'm very specific where I want to go with it. And unfortunately, my mindset needs very specific destination or goals to get to. Hence why it takes me so long to start a project. But when I do, these days it tends to like, I'm on it till the end. It's just hard because it means there's so much time spent doing nothing. Or I say doing nothing, not being productive when I'm spending all the time thinking of it. I'm mentally modeling 24/7. I'm just not physically modeling at all.
Yeah, that makes sense. I kind of wonder, JB, we've talked about sort of how projects end up on the shelf of doom and how you get an idea and that idea kind of tends to be, it has a shelf life, right? If we don't act on it. I wonder if these two things are maybe related, just at different parts of the timeline.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it in the past that I truly believe inspiration is perishable, where, you get hot on a certain subject. And gosh, Scott, when we were talking, especially for some listeners, I know a lot of listeners feel this way. You see that picture or whatever that spark of inspiration is, and you're like, I'm going to build that. And then you go to your stash, which is probably 300 to 500 kits, and you're like, you don't have that one damn kit you need for that subject. Right there, you automatically kind of reset, and it's like, damn it. And if you don't buy that kit right away, like if you don't go on to Sprue Brothers or Andy's or Microworld Games and buy it right away, I think it just goes away. It disappears and you rarely revisit it. So I tend to think that you really do need to strike when the iron's hot to stay engaged. And yeah, right now, I guess I'm wondering in terms of subject matter, put whatever show or milestone or event that you want in that place that, you want to build towards, whether it's AMPS, other national shows, scale model world Telford, put whatever you have there, or maybe it's just by the end of the year. I just haven't had anything hit me yet. And it's tough. And for me, it's funny, actually, yesterday I might have had something tip my fancy and I might just do it because I had the idea for it first. And then Jackson Stanton just loves to copy every freaking idea I have. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get the Ryfield kit and do a Lebanese M51. And then last night on Zoom, he's like, yeah, you're going to hate me, but I think that's what I'm going to do too. And it's like, cool, man. No, in all seriousness, he can do whatever he wants. I don't care. But one of the subjects that I think I might pick for SMC, I don't know, is the blown up Stug from Clairvaux. But there's a bunch of other ideas. There's a blown up Sherman that I like. But I like Scott said, anyone can build, whatever they want, obviously. And don't get me wrong, I'll build a Panther G. I'm grossly overdue with a Panther G build with Nick and Matt. So that's definitely on my list of things to do. But even then, that's fun. But what is that one project to sink my teeth into? I'm still kind of wondering right now. Above my bookcase over here, I have a bunch of kits. I call it like the near-term vision shelf, where I have them all stacked up, showing their box arts facing forward. And there's a bunch of subjects up there that are kind of on my near-term list, but there hasn't been a project like 131, like the M1340, that I have really embraced as something that I want to commit to, like all in terms of subject matter, referencing, build, aftermarket, finishing techniques. Like I haven't found it yet. So I'm kind of like you, Scott. But again, I'll also call out, it's only January 18th. Maybe we call it the winter blues we're getting over. And I certainly have a couple projects that I need to finish before I get super started in that big passion project for the year. But yeah, I'm still wondering there. So listeners, what is your big project? Because I'm trying to find mine.
Yeah, absolutely. And Grant, I wanted to talk with you about the element of last year. You put together that pod that was a very unique build. It took you a long time. You did a lot of research on it. And so that transition of coming out of something that you really did find something you were passionate about and you went all in on and everything. So that's still kind of fresh for you. So where are you at, and what can you do to come out of that transition and pick something else that you're equally passionate about?
Yeah, it's been a hard January. It's only started. So like you said, I did a lot of work on that pod and I'm very happy with it. But right now, what I'm trying to do is maintain that drive, and it's been really hard. I want to do some more kit bashing. I definitely want to do more of that. I want to do more Star Wars. I've been getting really into that realm of kit bashing, and I'm trying to go do as much as I can with studio scale stuff. Not as studio scale, but what they used, odds and ends projects that are off the beat and path. I guess I'm doing a lot of reference work, watching like people like Jason Eaton, who is known for this, also known for Maquet, one of the first in the States to be really active in that. But he does a lot of Star Wars stuff and builds and stuff like that. But it's been hard. I mean, I'm like you. I get on the bench, I build stuff, and then it just something happens, and it just kind of it's not there. I've kind of given myself some deadlines that I have to get. I have a show in April, like I said before. I have a show, Rocky Mountain. I want to have new stuff for, and then of course, later on in the year we got another big show. But just getting there, it's just been so hard. I'm trying. I'm kind of having the same problem with like Jensen does. Like once I bite a subject, I don't let my teeth out of it until I lose. And it's the worst thing because I think I just overthink it way too much. And I think, okay, well, I need to do this, and then I start to work on it, and it just doesn't get done. And I'm not happy with it. So I just kind of put it in a box and put it away, and then I move on to the next thing. And it's become a pattern, which is scary. But I need to work, help work on that. I really respect these guys that can take these huge amount of times to do these massive projects. The guys that like shipbuilders and stuff like that spend a year plus, and just doing this kind of work, or people that do studio scale models from the original parts and all this other stuff, and spend 2 years, 3 years working on something, and I just don't know how they maintain that drive, but they do, and God bless them for that. But it's just, I'm like you, I'm a little in a funk. I guess the best thing about it, maybe just keep on pushing. Maybe another group build coming up here, and which is, I'm sure it'll be good for me to do work on, and just get the kit and build it, kind of thing. And we got the 48 and 48 coming up, which is another great motivator. You learn a lot. You get a lot done, and you're with your friends all day and all night, and you get stuff done, and that's fun too. So I don't know. I guess I'm rambling, but I don't know what to say to improve how to get out of it. But just know that you're not alone in it. So we all get there. So.
Well, that's good. That's good to know. I look at Doug Smith. Shout out to a former podcast mate, but he just finished his Perfect Grade Falcon, and it turned out great. I've seen it in person a couple of times, and he kind of started and stopped on it, but then really really caught the fire and powered through. And it's an incredible build. And he talked about it recently here on the pod, and then I see TJ as well. He got that Sphinx, and you could tell. I mean, you can see, even though we're on a Zoom, you can see that twinkle in TJ's eye when he received it. And he's just, really, really kind of obliterated that and everything. But TJ, I mean, not wanting to speak for you here, but I mean, how has getting that kit maybe inspired you, and did that help you? I mean, because it seemed like you just kind of moved everything to the side and dove into that thing.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I know we kind of mentioned it when we were talking before we started recording, but I have gone through numerous phases, like you mentioned, where you just kind of like come and sit at the bench, and yeah, you're working on things, but you're not really working on things. You're just kind of existing at the bench, and poking around a thing here or there, getting a box out, looking at the stuff on the inside, and then putting it back. Like I do that a lot, and I also went through, a pretty recent phase where I wasn't getting a whole lot done, despite the fact that I was down at the bench a fair amount. It just wasn't, like you kind of mentioned before, like not finding the passion in what I was doing. Yeah, I mean this initial Sherman that I built, like I was super into this, and then it kind of fizzled out, and it's just been sitting like this since Thanksgiving, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get it painted over Thanksgiving, and obviously I did not. I played 40 hours of video games instead. But yeah, yeah, it's hard, man. Like I've mentioned it before, like a lot of times, like if I get burnt out, or am trying to figure out where I want to go with my modeling, or what I want to build, military modeling wise, I will just usually build something machining Krieger, and I feel like it kind of like reignites the spark, to be a little cliche there, but yeah, it's like like I already mentioned, like when this Sphinx showed up in the mail when I got home from work on New Year's Eve, which was also my anniversary, by the way, my wedding anniversary. So it was a great day, I had my wedding anniversary with my lovely wife, and I got a freaking Sphinx in the mail from Japan. It immediately just like you were saying, Scott, like man, it just really not changed my outlook, but really just kind of made me realize why I like modeling so much. And I started working on it immediately, and have done something with it every day since I got it, which at this point was 3 weeks ago. Yeah, 3 weeks ago, almost like 2.5 weeks ago. And yeah, can't wait. It's got me really excited about model making.
Yeah, I think that passion is really, really important. And I think as we've gone along, as I've gone along, it becomes more and more important. And, we're all changing and evolving all the time. But yeah, that passion is something that, I just have been struggling with. And I really appreciate everybody's thoughts on that. I'd like to hear from the listeners too. What do you do when you don't have a mojo issue. You're getting to the bench and everything, but you're just sort of, I called it kind of going through the motions, but you really just don't have that spark. How do you kind of power through that and find that something that just your eyes get big and you just, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that, and really dive into that. So yeah, just love to see those ideas. You can either email us at plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com, or put some suggestions on the posse group. Really appreciate everybody's feedback on that. So anyway, well, thanks, TJ. It's I think that was a good discussion, and I've actually got a couple of ideas I've jotted down here, talking and listening to you guys.
All right. We had another pretty good little discussion point that JB wanted to kind of bring up. He kind of heard this from, I don't know if you want to. We can add this part if you want, JB. I don't care. Yeah. Well, JB, I'll let you go ahead and describe kind of what you heard and your thoughts on it, and then because I know we kind of disagreed a little bit, so let's I don't know, let's hear it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll just be clear. What's great about our community is podcasts have personalities. All are different. All have different feelings and approaches to the hobby. And I'll just caveat, listeners, this is my thoughts and my thoughts alone. I'm not telling you how to model. I'm not telling you what to do. But these are just my thoughts based on discussions. And as we've noted before on this podcast, we hear other of our friends discuss things, and then we process. Sometimes we love it. Sometimes, I tend to disagree with it. And I'll be honest, I think this discussion happened, oh gosh, a month or two ago, to be honest. It was definitely Rob Riv. I forget if it was on his podcast, or I don't know. He's been on so many other shows that it could have been one of those too. So wherever he was, he had a comment around building, like the build versus the finish the model being, I don't know. I took it away as the build from their perspective was making the model the most unique aspect of the finished product. I'll be honest, I just disagree with that. From my perspective, don't get me wrong, I think adding aftermarket is super important. That can make your model unique when compared to other models. But in my mind, when I think of the word uniqueness, and really what I think, and really what I'm trying to say is, to make, like, if you have to read directions or if it exists in form, that's not creative in my mind, and that doesn't make it super unique. Don't get me wrong, you can build an out of the box model or a super souped up version and add that added detail, and yes, I guess technically it makes it different than other models. But I think in my mind, when we talk about uniqueness, it is something that can't be replicated by anyone else. That's how I'm treating uniqueness. And when I think of unique models, that difference maker is in the finish. And I'd argue that I've been using the word I think because I want to caveat, these are my thoughts alone. I'm not telling anybody to do anything. And this might be a little spicy, but when people prioritize or put more weight on the build, here's the hot take. I believe that they don't value the finishing part of the build because they can't achieve it. And that might be a very arrogant thing to say, but I do feel that way. I have seen, and this is what irritates me sometimes in the hobby, where I'm not telling you how to do your hobby, so you shouldn't be telling me how to do mine. And when you devalue the finishing aspect of a model, that really irritates me, because that is where the unique aspect from my perspective comes into play. And it's routinely from voices that don't take risks in finishing. They do the standard 1, 2, 3, which is great, and that's fine. But I perceive that commentary when people talk about finishing, and the people are doing, yeah, gosh, I've just heard it recently. I've seen it posted online too. Well, where, oh yeah, they just do so many weathering techniques and so many this and this and this. And I'm like, in my mind, again, John's thoughts, that is what makes your model unique. That is what puts you sets you differently than anyone else on the table. And if well executed, that is, I mean, again, John's perspective, I'll take an Adam Wilder build and finish like his finishes. I don't care if you love him or hate him, but they are super unique. And that's why there's only one Adam Wilder. And that's why there's only one Night Shift. It's because of how they present their finished work. And there's a certain style. It gets back to that style. And that's where I say the style makes the unique part of the model. Yes, you can add all the detail you want. But if I walk past two models that are painted the same, one is super detailed, one is not. From my perspective, at 3 to 4 feet away, they look the same to me. There is nothing pulling me in to look at those models. That's why I love SMC so much, because that approach to scale modeling that I like, again, listeners, what John likes. This, you can like whatever you want. But from my perspective, that's what makes models unique, that finished presentation. Yes, devil in the details, you can add all the aftermarket you want. But from my perspective, if you read instructions to build something, yes, I guess technically it's unique, but that's not how I define uniqueness. Uniqueness goes to style. Uniqueness goes to personal expression and creating something that no one else can. And if by finishing, by painting, you, from my perspective, unless you're completely scratch building something or scratch designing something, that's different. But from like bog standard stuff in terms of kits and aftermarket, that's not unique in my mind. What is unique is that finished presentation that we all know and can associate a TJ finish, a Jensen finish, a Grant painted figure. If Scott built more than one a year, we'd create a collective style for him too. But like there are certain finishes. Like there's a gentleman out of Poland, I think it is, that does modulation, Raphael, on Facebook, and that is his uniqueness. And that's where, like, again, I'm going on a real long rant here, but that's where I see uniqueness in the hobby. Yes, of course, every model is going to be different. But in my mind, true uniqueness comes down to the finish of the model because no one else can achieve it. And I rest my case. I will pass the gavel to someone else.
Okay, so like I mentioned when I kind of like led us into this, I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't necessarily agree with Riv either. I think it depends on the subject, on what can truly make something stand out as unique. And I bring that up like, okay, like my initial M4A1. It's going to be olive drab with like a dusty finish. That's it. But the build itself is unique in that everything that I put into it, I made it this vehicle because it's a hyper specific. This is the thing, right? And I can't make this really stand out any different than anything else I've painted olive drab because that's it. That's all that it is. I mean, I feel like I'm good at olive drab, and I think like I have a pretty, I like to think, recognizable style. Like I think people that know my work and can pick out what I've painted out of a lineup if it's olive drab. But like this particular one, yeah, the build here is what will make this stand out. The details I added, the little nuances that make this different from just someone built an M4A1 and put, the initial bogies on it. But I disagree with Riv that that's the only thing that can make something stand out because that's functionally untrue. It just is not accurate. And JB is right. Like a lot of times you can differentiate and make a model stand out if you, I don't want to say put an artistic paint job on it, but if you care about the finish. And like JB, I do agree that of course that's not the rule, but a lot of the voices that decry modern finishing techniques, and that's anything that's been from like the last 25 years to these people, they care way more about how they build, but then also at the same time their builds aren't that special. They're building basic and finishing it boring because I don't know, I know everyone has names in mind when we say that. Everyone can pick someone out. And yeah, I do agree. As spicy as that is, and as maybe condescending as it is, but yeah, they don't like it because they can't do it.
Yeah, and I just want to add on to TJ. You bring up a really good point, and this is the nuance of the conversation, and there's no right or wrong answer. Again, listeners, TJ brings up a very good point, and I think of my latest build 131. I didn't scratch build anything on it. I agree. The way you implement details to make your model unique is define in my mind. Then yes, it it does qualify, if that's a strong word, but it does fall in the category of a unique build. I guess if I had to backtrack and specifically state, just because you add aftermarket to your build and build a standard vehicle does not make it unique. I'm sorry, hot take, John, you can write it on the wall. I'm happy to defend myself anywhere and anywhere, everywhere and anywhere. But like if you build a bog standard, a good example, you build the Ryfield model kits. They have a standard version, they have an upgraded version. You're adding aftermarket, and by the reasoning of the original intent of the conversation is if you build the advanced version, that is a unique model. In my mind, that is not a unique model. That is the same subject matter that is built and configured in the same way as the standard kit. I think this is the nuance here too, is when you change the configuration, yes, you do implement aftermarket and you can achieve certain details that you can't in plastic, like you're bending the fenders, you're adding certain certain unique like I think of your Clairvaux Sherman, TJ. Yes, it's out of the box from a kit perspective, but the details make it unique. Your camouflage makes it unique. And that's where, again, this is a nuanced conversation, but just because you add aftermarket to the standard kit and don't change it, like, I'm sorry, that's not terribly unique in my mind. Like, great, you added detail, but the end subject is no different than if you built it out of the box and you painted it. And that's, I guess, the nuance that I'm going for. And again, I don't know how many times I have to say it, listeners. You can build however you want. I don't really care. I build slammer builds. I love a DOSWorks $25 Panther G. So I'm every end of the spectrum. So I don't want you to think that I'm being condescending or there's only one right way to model. But this is where, like, I guess just when I get animated about this because when certain conversations like this happen, there's no like gray zone. And that's really what modeling is. It's all gray. And when we make definitive statements around one is better than the other, like I just think that's a little narrow-minded. I think there's no right way to model, as we always say, but from my perspective, true uniqueness comes down to the personal touches an individual brings to their subject.
Yeah, I think, I was thinking horses for courses, but, you brought up some great examples with Adam and Martin. And, Martin's builds almost always have aftermarket or enhancements. He loves redoing welds on great big, huge machines and really emphasizing certain things that not everybody does. And they're part of what makes his builds great. But I think for most people, they would take a look at the presentation, the way that he's placed it in a scene, the way he's finished it, that truly make it Martin's work. But I think it's all elements of the stew, right? That make that build what it is. His water wheel diorama, you have the Chevy truck and the way that it's weathered and all the nuance of the finish, and you have the structure itself and then all of the scenery, and it's sort of like all elements of the wonderful beef stew, that make it really, really truly tasty. And same thing with Adam's work, his style is very unique and everything, but he has every little bolt and every little weld and every little spring is also addressed in addition to his finish. So I'm not trying to straddle the fence, but I think I'm like you a little bit, JB, in that I don't want, and you've done a great job of qualifying this, I don't want people to be subjected to your build has to be very technical, and that's the most important part. There's modeling organizations that we all know that emphasize that, and I think the original intent was to sort of take subjectivity out of the judging, but they emphasize the part of the build almost to a fault, and then put a very textbook 1, 2, 3, 4, like we've discussed a million times, finish on it. And that's where I think you lose a little bit of sort of like Bob's model, Steve's model, the things that really truly make it kind of you and what you put into it. But by the same token, TJ, you're being a little bit humble and say, well, my tank was just olive drab, but you bring a lot of nuance and depth and your own take to olive drab, where you see one of your Shermans and yes, it's just olive drab, but it's also your model and you do things unique way. John does the same thing with Dunkelgelb. I think he's, just does amazing things with that dark yellow color. So yeah, I think the main thing is we should all be open, and I think we should all strive to make things. There we go. Now I'm telling people what to do. I think we should encourage people to be unique and do things their own way, I guess.
Yeah, again, it's super nuanced. I mean,
Great,
again,
like you said. Yep.
every model is unique. Let's just call it what it is. What I'm trying to say is like, and it maybe just what triggers me is like discounting the finish, which someone could flip on me and be like, "Well, you're discounting the build here." And I'd like to say, I guess in a way I am, but I'd also like to think that you can use aftermarket to make a unique model, but just because you use aftermarket doesn't make it unique, if that makes sense. Because it just there's a nuance there, and I think that's important to delineate. And it's one that again, my personal bias showing. I love SMC because everything on that table is unique. Everything looks freaking different. And I'll counter that to walking down the rows at a US show. And listeners, you can hate on me, but this is the truth. You walk down a national contest in the US and everything starts to blur together. And that's where I say uniqueness is how you present the model. And that is, yes, that's everything from custom details and tweaking those aftermarket items and the finish to present something unique, where they excel at that in Europe. And let's be honest, Japan too. Honestly, everywhere except the United States. Hate to say it. I'm gonna catch arrows on this one. But like that's where there's a huge opportunity here in the United States. And I'm not surprised that mindset persists elsewhere, because that's us in the US. You walk down and it's standard kit, tank on a plank, and it's either green or it's a different shade of green, but they all exhibit the same aura. I don't know. But like, I don't know. What I'm just trying to say is that's where I consider uniqueness. And listeners, this might be the spiciest thing I've said in 5 years. So I've just been holding it in since then, I guess. I haven't drip fed you. I'm turning on the damn faucet and we're going to drown together.
Well, I think you made a great point there. A lot of great points, but the one I like the most is that just because you use photo etch doesn't make your vehicle better, your build better. It does not. I don't care what anybody says. It does not. I've seen a million models that do not have a stick of photo etch on them that make them, and they're better. Then it's the way they're presented, the way they're painted, the way they're done. Just because you throw $170 worth of extras on a vehicle doesn't make it different. Doesn't make it. It's still a Panther. It's still a Sherman. It's still a Jeep. It's still a whatever. But also the point that if you do something and let me change my tone here a little bit. If you use those photo etch parts or those resin parts or those 3D parts to make something unique out of the vehicle, take an H39 and change it up somehow, and you make it a unique version of an H39 and paint it. Yes, I think that's good. But just because you do something that anybody else can do doesn't make it different. Uniqueness is the paint, the the base, the how you present the model. It is. I might be on that stand with John when people are starting to throw arrows, but it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. You can take Adam Wilder is a perfect example, or Rick Lawler. There's people that are paint figures that are the same way. It's all how they present the model at the end. It's not the build, it's how they present it and how they show it and their uniqueness in doing it. And it's the uniqueness of, like, again, JB, your Citroen van. The uniqueness of that paint job is what set that model off. And and everything, and the work that TJ did on his blown up Sherman for last year, that work was unique. You do see blown up vehicles, but you don't see blown up vehicles done to that standard and that uniqueness.
So Grant, just a point of clarification, because I'm with you, man, with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, but are you kind of saying, like, if you take a Sherman and you add a set of aftermarket tracks to it or a barrel versus like what TJ's doing when he's gone around, say, and again, I'm not trying to say anything is right or wrong, but
Right.
understand the distinctness of what you're saying
Right.
versus like the actual casting numbers from a photo,
Hmm.
or adding a phone box on the back of a
Hmm.
Sherman that had a phone box added, or a different transmission cover that
Hmm.
is unique, whether it's scratch built or the medium doesn't matter so much as the details that are added. That's kind of the distinction of what you're saying right now.
Yes, because if you just
Okay.
add mud guards and a barrel to a Sherman, it's still the same as a plastic Sherman.
Okay. Yeah.
It's got thinner mud guards and a barrel that looks better. That's it. It's still the same box. It's still an M4A3. But when you
Gotcha.
make it, you take a Sherman like TJ's done and made it through, and DeMichael made it an early model. That's unique, in my opinion. I guess I'm straddling the fence, I guess, a little bit on this whole thing. But I just think that when people come up and say, "Hey, I did this, this, and this," and I'm like, "Well, what's the uniqueness in it?" Well, I use photo etch parts. Well, it doesn't make it unique. It doesn't. It doesn't. Just because you take one piece off and put another piece on,
Yeah.
it's the exact same piece. It's
Yeah, and
just
it's
thinner.
not right or wrong.
No.
It's unique. It's
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's the essence of my conversation too.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, as we talk through this, it boils down to that. You can use aftermarket to make your model unique, but just because you use it doesn't mean your model is unique.
Exactly.
And I think back to exactly what we talked about here with TJ's unique subjects, whether it's the Shermans that he's building, or even looking at the Sphinx for that matter, and replacing the gun tubes. It's a piece of the uniqueness in the subject and what you're delivering at the end of the day. But just because you do it doesn't mean it's going to make it unique. And I think that's at the heart of this conversation. That's as we talk all through this, that's where I settle. Yes, you can use aftermarket to make your model unique, but just because you use it doesn't make your model unique.
Jensen, the Chateau de Eggplant has been kind of quiet here.
I've been doing a lot of nodding, an awful lot of nodding. But I agree with JB. Yeah, so for me, like, I'm gonna kind of compare it to cooking. Anyone can follow a recipe and make a standard chicken stew or a chicken parm or any dish you can think of. Anyone can follow a recipe and make a very standard plate of food. Very nice. What are you doing and adding that makes it yours? And I watch a lot of Master Chefs, so they're like, okay, you've made a very nice dish, but it's not elevated. What elevates it? For me, the finish is what elevates it. Builds are great. You can do an ultra clean build. You can add every bit of aftermarket under the sun. You can, if you know what, make the entire model out of PE and resin. Fantastic, wonderful, great. But that's not what I'm looking at, because you put paint and primer and weathering finish. Well, usually weathering finishes on top of that. So once it's painted, I'm no longer seeing the stuff you've added. Great. I might know it's there. I might notice it's PE fenders because they're thinner. Cool, wonderful. But when I look at a finished model, I'm looking at a finished model, not a assembled plastic model. So for me, the eye goes to the finish. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I want to see. I like, great. Some people want to prioritize gluing plastic together and saying, yeah, but my plastic is glued the cleanest. Fantastic. You go, girl. Good for you. But you know what? That's not what I come to see. When I look at people's builds and finishes, I'm not looking at glued plastic. I'm looking at a representation of a subject that existed in real life. I'm not looking at a plastic kit. And how do you make it yours? It's in the finish. An artist's signature is in the finish. Like anyone, like we can all paint a smiley face or anything on a canvas, but what makes it yours is how you go about finishing it, what colors you use, the temperatures you decide to go about, the mood, the atmosphere, the all that stuff. That's where it makes it yours. That's where the person, the modeler behind the model, expresses themselves. I don't know how you express yourself in a build by just adding stuff to the plastic or adding resin or PE. That's not the expression. For me, the expression is in the finish, and it's not just in modeling. That's in any sort of creative forum, whether that be even singing, drawing, painting, building, cross stitch, crochet, literally anything, music. a lot of it, maybe getting a bit deep here by saying this is how you express emotion, but a lot of that can be in modeling. You can express emotion in scenes by temperature and color and how it's finished and its weathering and all that stuff. I don't know how you can be expressive in a build. You can be expressive in a finish, but that's just my take. Some people might say, "Wow, you condescending little man." Maybe, but that's a hill I'm willing to die on because I genuinely can't see expression in assembly. That's just my take.
I like this, Jensen. We need to get him out more.
Yeah, just
I mean,
get me riled up.
you raise a really good point. How do you artistically fold a piece of photo etch? Like, what is you folding a fender any different than what anyone else can also fold the fender when you're folding on the same fold marks, right? Like,
And
that's a good point.
This is kind of where I go on a bit of a tangent and why I expressively and quite openly say how much I dislike AI, especially when it comes to art. AI has no emotion. It can't express like people can. It can imitate how people express, but it is always going to be soulless.
Yeah, and I mean this, yeah, 100%. And this gets back to, you make a really good point, as TJ emphasized, like folding the PE, how the instructions tell you. I really struggle to understand how that's unique. But if you use the PE to deliver an effect that you're looking to achieve based on a photograph or an idea, to make it unique, that is taking the artistic level. Because yes, I agree, folding on the line, everybody can do that. But if you're using that piece to replicate like the intricate bends of like a crushed fender, to like that's the artistic touch when we're looking at something that's, dare I say, cold and a process as opposed to executing an artistic vision. But yeah, so that's, again, listeners, this is super nuanced, but I think this has been a really colorful discussion. There's no right answer at the end of the day, but I believe, and I'm happy to debate this in any forum, that, uniqueness, it comes down to the personal touches someone does to their model. Yes, adding PE is a personal touch, but as we said, aftermarket can make your model unique, but just by using it doesn't make it unique. You have to take that next step, in my mind. And that's where I sit. So I'll meet anybody in a debate forum to talk about this. I guess one thing to hammer home, when you buy a modeling book, do you buy it to learn how to build the model or to paint the model? If you watch a Night Shift, are you watching it to understand how he builds his model? Or are you watching it to understand how he's achieved the scene? So I think about that. How many books are on the actual build process of the model versus the finishing? You don't buy tank art for the building.
Counterpoint to that, Adam Wilder has an amazing book on building models.
100%.
But
yeah.
Counterpoint to that is all about making the models unique.
Exactly.
In interesting ways by replacing parts, not just for the sake of replacing it, saying I put a PE fender on there, but I put a PE fender on there because it's going to be torn up and I'm going to have an open, toolbox that's been shredded by, a
100%.
20 millimeter round or whatever. So yeah.
I think his volume 1, and for listeners, if
one
you're
of my
looking,
favorite books.
If you're looking for a book that shows you how to use aftermarket details to achieve effects to make your model, here's the key word, unique, that is the book you want. Because his way of using copper sheet is artistic as hell. I mean, that is where you're using the aftermarket for delivering a unique effect. And man, I agree with you, TJ. It is the best book out there when thinking of construction. Typically, when you look at a modeling article, the build section is de-emphasized because it's, in a lot of cases, you're following the instructions. And the only time they're talking about the build is when they're adding unique details for that subject. Adam Wilder's book, great example of a true book dedicated to using aftermarket for uniqueness. I'll also say scratch building and conversions, those are unique approaches to modeling. Like, I'm not going to, like, David Parker's 251, like scratch designing and printing, like that is a unique model. You look at Alex Clark's work, unique, and Scott's going to be bleeping the shit out of this because I want to emphasize that those modelers who are taking that extra level of detailing and scratch printing or scratch building, like those guys are making unique models. But just because you use a lion roar set on a model doesn't make it unique. And I'm sorry, I'm dying on that hill. I really am. Come fight me, Rob. Happy to discuss this live at AMPS. Get your little setup there with your mics and click the on-air signal, because I'm happy to talk about this, because I do not agree with you. There it is. I love you, Rob. You're a great guy, but you're wrong here.
Throwing down the gauntlet. I love it.
I never get spicy. This is one of those times. I'm gonna message him right after this recording. Be like, hey man, coming after you in this episode.
Oh, that's gonna make his day. He's gonna
exactly.
He's gonna walk around. He's gonna walk around with a full chub all day long.
Oh man, I can't wait. Cannot wait. We're gonna hear a mass protest in New York City, and it's because of this guy. So he's gonna carry around a sign with a Lion Roar logo on it, marching up and down Fifth Avenue. No, we love you, Rob. So no, this is the reason why we talk about these things. Everybody has a different opinion. And let's be honest, it makes good content too. Who doesn't like to, go back and forth and have colorful discussions around how we view the hobby? As we've always mentioned on this podcast, there's no right or wrong way, only the way that you do it. And feel free, listeners, to chime in. Maybe this is a spicier topic. Maybe you're seeing a true colors of JB here, but would love your input. Pictures are perfect too. Like if you want to, post a picture of a build that you consider unique based on the work that you've done, whether it's aftermarket or finished, post away. That's the whole point of this. We want to generate discussions, and who doesn't love friendly banter from now and then? And Rob, yeah, let's talk. Not on this podcast. You've been on so many. We can go someplace else. Just tell me. We probably go over the geeks and talk about it. I feel like you're a guest now on their show, a permanent guest, I should say. But yeah.
Hey, Jensen, what's going on?
Not a lot. A lot of high blood pressure in this room right now.
Yeah, it was good. Spicy JB. But what time is it over there in the UK?
Right now it's 4:50. When we started this recording, it was daylight out, and now it's dark. And hey, listener, I'm talking to you. Times might get dark. We've still got those January winter blues. But one way you can cheer yourself up? That's right. You can head over to the Plastic Posse merch store and buy yourself a wonderful post-Christmas treat. We have jumpers, t-shirts, mugs, pillows, even some of our world-famous lounge trousers. That's right, you can head over to loungetrousers.com and pick up some wonderful January blues destroying merch right now. You want to. You deserve it. Treat yourself.
Thank you for that, Jensen. You were missed last episode.
Yeah, I always, I'm like, when I'm not there, who's gonna put the performance in?
No, that's true.
No one.
Well, listeners, that will be it for episode 131. I think this was a really good one. Everyone loves Spicy JB. So yeah, can't wait to see how Mr. Riv responds to that one. He's gonna love every second of it.
we got to get Michael Buffer to intro that.
But yeah, so thank you again to everyone out there listening, and to our Patreon supporters, and all of our wonderful sponsors, which again are Micro World Games, Tankcraft, Tamiya USA, Bases by Bill, and AK Interactive. Till next time.
One of the ways that you can help to support the Plastic Posse is to become a Plastic Posse Outrider. If you want to become an Outrider, it's really easy. And yes, you can even do it wearing lounge trousers. Ask Jensen. Just go to our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/Plastic Posse Podcast, and set up a recurring donation there. These contributions help us to bring you the Posse. There are 3 different tiers of support, and they start at just $1 a month. There's There's also some great benefits that you'll receive as part of being an Outrider. You get early access to our podcast, you get premium access to us, you get the chance to appear on a podcast, and exclusive Triple P content and social events at model shows. Hopefully, our Patreons have been enjoying our recent exclusive YouTube content, and as you heard from Jensen, we're planning on even more in 2026.
Let's recognize our amazing deputy marshals. These loyal contributors support what the posse does, and we genuinely appreciate each and every one of you. And they are, in no particular order, Angel Garcia, Carl Doran, Pat Brown, Ryan Smith, Elmo Squadron, Model Fiesta, Curtis Towers, Winston Gould, The Quiet Corner Modeler, Daryl Miller, Rob Booth, David Clark, Richard Lane, Robbie Knopfs, Wesley Becker, Eric Dalglish, David Wassel, Matt Tubman, Zach Pease, Brett Marcan, Greg Williams, Nick Wolf, Brian Clark, Sean Earl, Black Cat Scale Models, Craig Jarbo, Red Beach One Studios, James Morano, Mike Norris, Stephen Rodwell, Rick Cooper, Eric Avina, John Hale, Eric Kane, Logan Hansen, Tim Gidcombe, Dan Newman, Robert Blocker, Tyler Moore, Derek Post, Craig Flynn, Kenneth Childers, Drew Garner, Scott Hall, Frank Perone, Jeremy Diamond, Terry Wilkinson, Chris Lovewell, Andrew Callis, Ethan Mill, Steve Baker, Patrick Brown, Jay Kidd, Brandon Gentry, Lee Fogel, Robert Klein, Mark Ewing, Toadman, Model Doc, Greg James, Les Percala, John Everett, Uncle Buck, Mark Bradley, Eric Brubaker, Jeremy Moore, DB Scale Model Studio, Jeremy Elliott, Mike Telly, Previous Seat, Mediocre Middle-Aged Modeler, Dan Knopfel, and JC Osborne. And also someone wrote Chubbs. I don't know if that was a real one or someone was trying to get me, but if that is a real person, here's to you, Chubbs.
Well, that's got to stay in now.
Carl Weathers, that's his call sign. He's got a wooden hand, the wooden hand modeler out there. All right, let's not forget our posse foreman. The crew is made up of posse outriders who give the deputy marshals a hand, and we thank you for that. Andy, the voice of Bob, Graham, Keith, Dwayne, AK Armor, Bill, Casey, Therese, Russ, Stefan, Mickle, LeVar, Gil, Mike, Michael, Scott, Emery, The Krieger, Aussie Miler, Jeff, Eddie Ross, Warhoff Models, G. Baker, Tom, Stuff, Crazy Loca, Len Cliff, Damien, Cody, Nukeman, Mike, Paul, iBones Models, Mr. Grizz, Jackson, Joel, Chris, Jamie, MD Models, Papa Steve Munsell, JV, Eric, Matthew, and David.
Feel better, Robbie.
Yeah, and we don't yeehaw.
But you could
right.
if you wanted to.
I could. It is a free, somewhat free country. And of course, our $1 and free posse outriders like Michael Butler. Thanks, guys. Yeehaw. That's what you're getting.
I texted Rob and I said, "Hey, friendly warning, I call you out on the latest episode." And he's like, "LOL, love it. Sounds great."
Of course.
Yeah,
Of
so
course he does.
He's in. He's in.